to walk you through the assignment that you're doing this week. It is your SIFT assessment. So we're going to find your SIFT assessment in this week on Canvas. So you're going to start out by going to our English 3 Research Unit website, and you'll choose one of the research questions. So we went over these a little bit on Friday, but your choices are: how can alternative forms of energy replace fossil fuels? How will artificial intelligence impact jobs in the future? How is human activity responsible for global climate change? How can the United States achieve universal health coverage? How can paying for a college degree with student loans be worth a long-term debt? And how will the development of self-driving vehicles change transportation in the future? So these are your research questions. Again, you will be researching this question. Your final essay will take some argumentative stance along the lines of this research question, but you're not actually answering this question in your paper because your paper is going to be an argument. So once you decide on your topic, you click through to the page with the topic and you will find your SIFT assessment document for your topic. You can go ahead and click on that link there where it says click here to make a copy, because you are going to want to make a copy of this for your own Google Drive. Always make sure you see your initial over here on the right, and you can rename it something else if you like. Usually it's good to go with like maybe initials, something so it shows that it's yours. All right, so we're gonna type in our name, and there's our research question again: how can alternative forms of energy replace fossil fuels? So remember, this is an assessment of everything that we have learned with SIFT. So we're assessing that you know how to investigate the source, and we learned just at Wikipedia for that, using Google search, Google News, and or Google Scholar to investigate both the site or organization and the author expertise of the article. And we also learned different types of expertise. We learned about find trusted coverage. So again, that was checking the validity of this information. Actually, is the information true? And we talked about using Google search, Google News, fact-checking websites, and or reverse image search to find that trusted coverage on the claims, the information in the article. Tracing to the original context, we talked about following the links back to figure out what the original source of reporting was and checking the sources for each article to make sure the sources actually exist and that we trust the sources that they're using. After we have done all of our SIFT moves, we're going to assess the source and explain why you would or wouldn't want to use a source in your essay. The last thing you're going to do is give a final verdict on the source. So the answers here are either use or do not use. You're going to end up with 3 use sources and 3 do not use sources. So that's a really big hint. You know that in these 6 that you're doing, you're going to find 3 that you want to use and 3 that you don't want to use, and can help maybe to compare them. Here, the top row here in gray and purple is an example of an answer that you might give. So I have a link here, and I'm telling you what I did and what I learned for each move in SIFT. So I can say I checked Wikipedia for Psychology Today, and it is not peer reviewed. I looked up the author on Google, and she has a PhD in the area of happiness and has published articles cited in Google Scholar. So that's what I did. So you're telling me what you did, and that's where you need to tell me which of the web techniques that we learned that you used. So tell me exactly what you did and make sure I know that you're using the web techniques we learned. And then I say, and it can be really brief, but what I learned from this: I think the source is trustworthy and the author has academic expertise. It's, extra points if you tell me what kind of expertise they're showing you. So same thing for the next one. I'm saying what I did and what I learned. I did a Google search for a few of the claims made in the article. I just wanted to confirm that others agree in general with her claims. Other sites on Google confirm that her information is correct. I determined the coverage in the article is factual. And that's a great last sentence. I determined the coverage in the article was factual. That's fine. The next one, trace the original context. In the article, it says the information summarizes a book by the author. You can find the book for sale on Amazon by clicking a link. I assume the book is based on research. The book and its research sources is the original context of the information in the article. So remember, we're always thinking about what the original context is. So tell me, like, the original context is a mixture of sources. Maybe it's a whole lot of sources, and that's okay. Just tell me what the original context is for the information you found in the article. Here's my analysis. I think this article is truthful and written by an expert. However, the article is not the original context of the research. The original context is the author's book. I could use this article as a source since I do not have access to the book. It is very close to the original reporting source. So there you're kind of bringing everything together and giving me the final kind of like, with all of this information that I found, what do I think of this source? And my verdict on this one would be use. Now, this source has nothing to do with any of your topics, so it's not going to help you out in that way. But for each of these, you're going to go through each of those steps. Remember, you don't have to do I first. Remember, sometimes we can start with T or F. So, don't just necessarily go in order of the boxes. Do whatever feels comfortable first. But you're going to do the T, F, and I, then you'll do the analysis. My suggestion would be to wait till you've done all 6 before you decide on your use, not use. After you have done these 6, so that gives you 3 articles that you are going to use in your paper. You've got to have 5 articles total to use in your paper. So this is where you go out, you do some Google searching, and you're going to find 2 sources of your own. First, you're going to put that URL here. Then you're going to do the exact same thing. Tell me what you did, what SIFT moves you did, and which of those web techniques you applied. So tell me that for each of these. And for this one, you can do the analysis. But remember, these 2 you have to use in your paper. So only include 2 that you want to use in your paper. I'm not asking you to do use, not use on these because you're using them. But just give me an analysis of why you are going to use them, in addition to the 3 that were found for you. So you are going to end up with 5 usable sources for your essay. Let's take a quick look at the rubric just so you know what you're being graded on. If you go back to the assignment, scroll down, you'll see the rubric. So you are going to be graded most heavily on what you did in those SIFT moves. So with investigate the source, you get full marks if you thoroughly explain using one or more of those web techniques, and I list them. Same goes for find, trust, or coverage. Full marks for thoroughly explaining one or more of the web techniques. Trace the original context, thoroughly explain how you trace to the original context by following links. Then for each of those, you also get then a second set of points for telling me your conclusions based on those moves. So what you did gets you 18 points for each, and then what you concluded based on the move gets you 10 points for each, I, F, and T. So a full answer for each square gets you 28 points total for each I, F, and T. Then you get full marks for explaining why you would or would not use the source for your essay. And then if you get all 6 right, so you say correctly use, not use, you get 6 points, full marks for that. As you can see, the correct answers aren't really the biggest deal here. It's more that you perform the moves of SIFT. Show me that you know how to do it. That's the goal of this assessment, showing us that you know how to do SIFT. I hope that clears up how to do the assignment. Remember to take a quick look at the webpage that you've got here, because we do have the calendar and you can make sure that you're on track. You're working on the SIFT assessment beginning Monday, April 4th. You have that 2 full days to work on that. You'll take the SIFT quiz on Wednesday, and you'll have time to work on the assessment after that. And then Thursday, again, a full day to work on the assessment. The goal is that you have the assessment done prior to Friday, April 8th, But if you don't finish it in class, you do have until Sunday, April 10th to turn it in. It does need to be complete prior to Monday, April 11th, because you are going to start working on your essay and you want to have all your sources and research done when you start writing that essay.